Truffles. They're the business class of the mushroom world. But not all truffles are created equal. From the eye-wateringly expensive white truffles to the worthless imposters that can make their way into high-end kitchens, this guide explores 12 truffle species. Some command thousands of euros. We look at other lesser-known species that can be great value for money. The wild truffles, the ones that could be cultivated. And of course the truffles that are used to dupe customers in an industry that thrives on mystique and misinformation. Let's have a look at this picture here. Now we have 11 truffle species. 10 of these are commercial. This one isn't. Quiromyces meandriformis. It doesn't belong to the tuber genus, and it's only here because it can be confused with the next truffle. That's the white truffle, the tuber magnatum. So many hunters get excited when they find one of these lookalikes. However, this truffle is worthless. It has a completely different aroma and a different texture to the valuable white, which we're looking at here. It's number 2, the tuber magnatum. This is also known as the precious white truffle and is sometimes mistakenly referred to as the Alba truffle or the Piedmont truffle. Now, this is due to decades of clever marketing, because this truffle is not only found in Alba, it's found across Italy and in several countries across the Balkans. It's considered the crown jewel of truffles on account of its unique aroma. This truffle can command prices of up to 5,000 euros a kilo, and it's the rarest of all of the truffles. With the climate change, or at least long, hot, dry summers and overhunting threatening its existence at the moment, so it may not be around for much longer because, unlike other species of truffles, the tuber magnatum cannot be cultivated, or at least it's resisting efforts to cultivate it on a large scale, which means it's the only truffle which is exclusively sourced by truffle hunters and their dogs. Now, trees have been successfully inoculated with the white truffle spore, and these baby trees can sell for around 100 euros a piece. Now, hunters like ourselves can spend 3 to 4 months a year in white truffle habitats, so I'm not particularly sure how potential growers aim to recreate these very particular white truffle environments. But I suppose any experiments are good, and they drive us forward. So let's move on. This is the tuber uchinatum. Number 4 belongs to the same species. It's a bit smaller here, the tuber aestivum, because this is at the end of the season. It usually can grow to a lot larger than this. You can often find tuber aestivum or black summer truffles which are the size of oranges. Let's look at picture number 3. The tuber uchinatum. It's a later variety of the aestivum. It tends to grow in late autumn, early winter, whereas the summer truffle starts growing in spring in the south of Europe. Now, the aestivum is a widespread species. It's very adaptable and can be found across Europe and beyond into the north of Africa and across into Asia. So this means that growing conditions for the aestivum can vary greatly depending where you are. In the south of Europe, this truffle tends to be found under oak and hornbeam, whereas you'll find uchinatum in the south of Europe in the beech forests at a much higher altitude. The uchinatum, as we said, tends to grow later on in the year, and this is often found on the sloping sides of beech forests. The uchinatum has a much richer flavour than the early truffle, the aestivum, and it sells for about double the price. This is a nice truffle to cultivate, as is the aestivum. Aestivum is mild in flavour, but it's good value for money, especially at the height of the season, when you can find really good flavoured truffles for around 250 euros a kilo. Number 5, this is another autumn truffle, the tuber macrosporum, literally the long-spored truffle. This is also known as the smooth black, the nero lisce. This is a very nice truffle if you can get your hands on it. It is sold commercially, but there's little demand for it as it tends to grow sporadically and not in great numbers. This means that prices are low, but it is worth hunting. It has a good deep flavour, which is robust and mushroomy, with a hint of garlic, and it pairs well with risottos and with creamy pasta dishes. The Melanosporum is often called the precious black truffle, the Perigord truffle, or the black diamond. This has practically disappeared in the wild, but is now cultivated extensively in Europe and the USA. It has also been successfully grown the past decade in the southern hemisphere. Australia, Chile, South Africa all have a lot of truffle farms. This popular truffle is available from December to March, and then again in the summer when the season starts in the southern hemisphere. This is a really popular ingredient in fine dining, and it goes for around €1,000 per kilo, again depending on supply that year. Numbers 7 and 8, I'm going to talk about these Brumale species together. There are two varieties, the Moscatum and the classic Brumale. A lot of people, particularly growers, give the Brumale a bad name. They view it as a contaminant because it has turned up in many a Melanosporum orchard, presumably due to root contamination in the truffle tree labs. Again, through no fault of its own, it's picked up a bad reputation, as it is often used and sold in place of the more expensive Melanosporum, the Perigord, without buyer's knowledge. They're all referred to as black winter truffles, so it's kind of an easy mistake to make, or to get away with. The Moscatum has a more musky flavour than the classic Brumale. However, where it grows affects the flavour greatly. This is the truffle which needs water and plenty of sunlight. So Brumale, which are found in dark, damp forests, don't tend to be so pleasant. If you can grow this truffle yourself and monitor the conditions, or if you come across a nice patch in the wild, then Moscatum especially can be a fantastic ingredient. It's affordable and it can be used in recipes which call for the Perigord truffle, with only subtle differences in the flavour and at 1/3 of the price. So if you want to experiment without forking out dangerous amounts of cash, then perhaps you should start here. Now, make sure that you aren't confusing your tuber brumales with this truffle, the tuber bituminatum. This truffle smells of bitumen or tar, and it can be exceedingly unpleasant. This species is found right across Europe and in the north. I'm including it here as a new variant, the Suave, which is a relatively recent classification. This seems to have a milder, far more pleasant quality to its scent profile. Less of the asphalt, which the bituminatum is notorious for. So this is a truffle which may be worth trying out. The Bagnoli truffle, or the tuber mesedericum, was named after the mesentery, part of the intestine. No doubt this alludes to its irregular lobe shape. This truffle is a popular ingredient amongst hunters because we turn it up pretty regularly, and there isn't a great call for it on the market. It can have a flavour rather similar to iodine or medicine if it's past its best, but when it's fresh it has a nice almondy hint to it, so I like it. This could be worth trying out if you're an adventurous chef, but again it may be more of an acquired taste. The Bianchetto, Marzuola, or the tuber borchi is often known as the poor man's white truffle. It's found in sandy hills, particularly in pine forests which are in coastal areas. This is a much less costly alternative to the tuber magnatum or the winter white truffle. You get maybe 1/5 of the flavour at 1/10 of the price. Be careful though if you buy white truffle products. These often contain this spring white truffle. Yes, it is white, but it's probably not the truffle that you're paying the premium price for. You probably thought you were getting the tuber magnatum. Similar scams are pulled off with the tuber indicum. This is sometimes known as the Chinese truffle. The indicum is similar in looks to the Perigord, but that's where the similarities end. The tuber indicum has none of the aromatic complexities of the tuber melanosporum, especially as it is often harvested with a rake. Chefs need to be vigilant, as this truffle seems to be imported primarily to dupe customers. This is just a very small fraction of the truffles that do grow in the wild. If you'd like to teach your dog to hunt for some of these truffles, or all of them, then check out this video over here.